Good morning. I think a few people have already come through from our waiting room, so welcome. Just to introduce myself, I'm Dr. Lola Brooks, part of the ADR UK team. There's a few more people coming in, and this is our first dataset briefing as part of our upcoming fellowship commissioning round, where we're opening up opportunities for applicants to apply for funding to undertake research with ADR England flagship data. And in the first of our series of events to help inform you and excite you about the potentials of our flagship data, that all conditions are part of our funding, we have ASH Census 2011 flagship dataset, and we are very fortunate to have a fantastic speaker coming along to talk you through the breadth and depth of the dataset, give you some insights into how and when it has been used. And at the end of the session, we will have a chance for anyone to ask questions if they have any. You can write these in the chat as we are going through, and we will collate them and read them out at the end. Just so you're aware, you won't be able to unmic yourself or turn on your cameras through this, but there will be contact details at the end if you want to contact our team or, in fact, Van herself, who is presenting the data set. So welcome to the stage, Van. Thank you very much for giving up time to present to us today. And I think Steve, who is helping with the slides, is ready to proceed.
Okay, so thank you. Nice to see everyone in the first section of data briefing. So today I'm Van. I'll just try to present you the data flagship in this call is ASH and Census 2011. So what ASH? ASH is the annual surveys of hours and earning, and it represents 1% sample of the pay-wise job in Great Britain. And the sample is drawn from the pay-wise register in January of each year, and they have a top-up it later, probably in April. And then they will send out the questionnaire to the employer, and then the employer have responsibility to fill in the questionnaire for those set of employee being chosen, and it is conducted by ONS. And then in Census 2011, so that is the census for England and Wales, because for the Scottish census and the Northern Ireland, it be administered by other different party. And then that's why we assume that all the employees in England and Wales should be observed in the census England Wales 2011. And then the census days usually in March 2011. So you see that some roughly times that cross section between ASH and Census 2011. So next slide, please. So the linkage ASH and Census 2011 is bring a lot of value to enrich the data. So in ASH, we all know that they are very rich in term and are very accurate in term of the hour and the wage. Sorry, can you back slide, please? Yeah, so we got very detailed information about wage, the working hour, and information about the employer information like work location, legal status, and the size of the employer. However, we have quite a limited information about the personal, the employee size. So bringing Census 2011 into the data will enrich more personal characteristics of the employees. We know more about the country of birth, the English language proficiency, ethnicities, religion, marital status, educations, and all the household circumstances as well. So the link ASH and Census 2011 will add more value so that the first time you can see the return in human capital, which we haven't able to do it with ASH only before. Or now we can do the wage gap by gender, by ethnicity, by different protected characteristic. And then we also can see the wage progressions among the migrants as well. So next slide, please. So Now we talk about a bit detail about what linkage process, how they do it. So ONS take the linkage, so they take the individual with people who live in England and Wales resident and link it and with the census 2011. So though in Ash 2010, 11 and 12 and 6 are matched with census 11. So they got the two phases of the linkage. So the first phases, they linkage by name, by gender, date of birth, home postcode. And in the phase 2, they add more the linkage match on the workplace, and then based on the zip code and the stock codes is the industry and occupation code. And then the linkage rate for Ash Census 2011 is peaked at 64%. So next, please. So here you can see the figures. So because the feature of the linkage, so we are taking the people observed in Ash 2010, 11, 12, and linked with Census 2011. So while the linkage rate is peaked in 2011, which around 70%, and then the linkage rate is dropped out when you go further away from 2011. And then here are some features of the data for some of you if you want to interested in some characteristic like qualifications, like live in the UK or outside the UK, and then ethnicities as well. So among 120,000 linkage record in 2011, we got around 44,000 record, which is the employee have the degree qualification. 14,000 record for those people who born outside the UK, and around 11,700 record belong to member with non-white ethnicity group, and then 6,600 for those who have a long-term health problem or disability. So next slide, please. So in the data, we can have a lot of variable collected from Ash. And then here the link, you can see the variable from Ash, and then the suffix census, so that's the variable from census, and we got a detail of variable classification, what that mean, what the code value, what mean, we got the data from ONS as well. And then they got the underscore link variable, which is describe the linkage process, the match score, the what is the field of matching. So all the dictionary can be all the variable lists can be found on either ADR UK data catalog or ONS data catalog. So I also post the link here for you so you can have a look later. So next slide, please. So the limitation of the data. So I think that's what we want to care about when you try to apply for the fellowship. So the linkage rates are slightly higher for some specific group of people, like a higher pay job, and those with a standard hour, and held by the middle-aged employee and the people who are outside of the London. So to address the bias, so we also construct some adjustment to the standard Ash way, so we can see it and you can read the user guides for detail how we build the way to adjust the sample selection there. And then also another limitation of the data, the linkage data, is some personal characteristic from census may change over time when you incorporate with Ash. So you know that Census 2011 are self-reported, and then they are reported at one point in the time, is in 2011. And Ash is the annual data. And then so you can see that and census is collected every 10 years. So some variable, some characteristic may change during 10 years time. So the next slide, please. And then with the data, with the linkage, so because we got quite rich data from the census, So we and then Census team are quite protective of the identifications issues. So they not allow us to have a postcode. So ASH only, we can have the detail level of at the postcode, but with the ASH Census linkage, no postcode will be provided. So the geography variable, the lowest one we can access will be at the local authority level. And then it will be standalone data set, so no further linkage with other data set at the individual level will be allowed. So just let you aware of it. Okay, so next slide, please. So how you access the data. So the code and the data we make available throughout the ONS UK Research Service, and how you access to it. So you have to apply yourself as a accredited researcher and apply for a research project in the SRS, and you can access the data. So the link ADR UK down here show you a detail what you need to do, how to access the data, very detailed. Okay, so next slide, please. So what I just give you some kind of like visualizations of the data is about and what file will be given. So when you apply for ASH and Census 2011, 2 files will be given. So we call the drop one, so equivalent to the phase 1, which I mentioned previously, because it will cover the whole period from 1997 to 2018. And the drop 2, so equivalent to the end of the phase 2, but unfortunately it's just covered 3 years, 2010, 11, and 12. So that's why the web project, the wage employment Denmark project, we build the code, everything for you, and then as the researcher coming to use the data, you have to run the code to combine these 2 files together to get a final output data, so that you can get the whole series from 1997 to 2018. So next slide, please. So that here are some research that we're using ASH and Census by the web team and by all the researchers who already used the ASH and Census 2011 before. You can see some people use it for the for migrant and non-UK employee, for the ethnicity and immigrants, and also about the green job, because in ASH we really got a detail in terms of SIC code and subcode. So that's the occupation in industry. So we can identify the green job from there as well. And then disability pay gap. So the next slide, please. So coming to the research fellow, this call. So when you try to identify your research objectives, so please define your research question clearly. So we advise you to take the advantage of the ASH, because ASH is well known for to be as the employer-employee datasets. And then also try to make advantage of the Census 2011, because some personal characteristic was not observed in ASH before, now we can observe in Census. And then how to access the data suitability as well. So some people want to do with kind of like in one occupation or sub-industry, for example. So you have to make sure that you got a good sample size for the subject that you're interested in. So that's why if you got any queries later, you can drop us and we can give you a steer on whether it's suitable or not suitable for your research objective. And then it's a bit early to mention that, but another project is going in parallel with the ASH and Census 2011. It's Census 2021, but it's still ongoing. It's not finished. So please don't rely on that Census 2021 linkage yet. I will mention later, okay? So next slide, please. So here is some kind of research priority that we try to encourage people to look at it. So because the ASH is the employee-employer data set, so we try to encourage people to identify the role that employer in the wage inequality among different group of the employee. So by different characteristics like gender, ethnicity, disability, marriage status, and then also look at the personal characteristics such as educations and household structure affect on the wage progressions. And then how is the progressions and job mobility affected by these characteristics? And then also we can do some research about minimum wage as well, because the ASH is well known and used widely by the Low Pay Commission. So you can see that how change the minimum wage affect on different group of workers in the labor market. So that here are some suggestions from the team and from the department priority research. So next slide, please. So when you come to use our data, so we got a support. So all the documentation, code, research before will be posted on our website, that www.wagedynamic.com. And we got the code in SRS, so we call SRS code repository as well. And if you've got any question, you can come and email us or email to ADR UK Fellowship course. So people will, when we get the email, we try to reply and respond in 5 to 7 working days, so that we try to support you as much as we can. And then also we can access to the knowledge hub. So that's the peer-to-peer support. So we can, some issue that you haven't experienced that, but other research already experienced, and then they also posted in the forum already. So that's kind of the quick learning hub you can kind of experience and then pick up the answer from there. And then you may have to access to different stakeholder, so academic or government or public sector. And then we building the community of interest from other people, like a research with the same interest. So from PhD, fellowship, research event and conference and the blog. So and then we can offer some one-to-one support as well if we go with the technical issue. So next slide, please. So now next is the forthcoming ASH and Census. I say that we got ongoing project to link ASH with Census 2021 for England and Wales. So the aim of the project is try to provide the longitudinal ASH and Census, so to make the ASH Census link 11 is longer now with Census 2021. So here is just the illustrations of the final product will be. So you can see that hopefully in the long run, we can see the whole data set of ASH with the Census 2011 and 2021 linkage into the data. And then the good news is the initial data linkage outcome is really high, higher than compared to Census 2011. And then the linkage rate is more kind of evenly flatter when you come across the year. It's not like ASH and Census 11, and it dropped quite significant if you go further away from 2011. So next slide, please. So the timetable for ASH and Census 21. So we got the initial drop from ONS by April this year, and we are still working with the ONS to finalize data, the linkage process, and we will prepare the documentation as well. And then the final aims for us is trying to deliver the final output data for the wider researcher by March 2026. And then we will run some training user support afterward. So with ASH and Census 2021 comes, we will have extra data come with us. So we got more household data. What I mean by household data, so we not only have the census record for those people in ASH linked with census. Now we got everyone in that household. So we got every single people in that household will be accessed as well. And then the extra year of us coming along. So the initial version we have at the moment will extend as come to 2022. So that is something that we are working forward toward it. And then the census team already mentioned that they also do the same with Census 2011. For they will provide extra household member record of all the member in that household for Census 2011, but we haven't got a confirmation exactly when it's gonna come. And then so that's the application using ASH and Census 2021. So it's next slide, please. Yeah, I think that's it for the data briefing about ASH and Census 2011. And then I'll take the Q&A. I hand over to Steve so that he's gonna run the Q&A.
Excellent, thank you, Van. That was very informative. So very grateful for you taking the time to do this. I have one question in the chat so far, and the question is linkage with other data possible if the data is at the local authority level, not individual level?
I think the answer will be yes. So basically, when you do the application with ONS, so what kind of all the data you want to be in the same instance, you can access to ask to linkage with access not individual level. So that could be done. So
Okay, excellent. So have a couple of other questions that have come through via various other means. You mentioned that the researcher has to run some code to actually link the two data sets together. So could you just say how long that might take for the data set to be linked together?
So it will be quick because the data is the linked form already. So ASH and Census data in one form, but because the way ONS provide the data at that time is only for 3 years. So that's a different in terms of the year. So basically now we try to collate it for the whole period from 1999, 97 to the 2018. So basically we just try to append it, but it takes a bit of time to do it because we got a code. So probably as you may have to run through the code. And then on our website, we have a videos and to guide you how to run the code, what does it mean and how you can apply it, the code there inside the SRS. And if you have any further question or you probably got a problem inside there, you can contact us and we can give you a hand to steer you how to show you slightly how to do it. So I don't think it will take too much. I think it will take you a week to master the code. So the code itself is run probably a day if finished, but like to master and to able to run to get the final output probably take you a week maximum.
Okay, excellent. Okay. There's also I don't know if it's a comment or a question really. It looks like the linkage misses the people who changed residence after or before 2011. Is that correct?
Yeah, so that's also the drawback. So we take the ASH people who observe, who stay in England and Wales 2010, 11, 12. So we haven't really picked up any changing before or after that. So that's why I said that it's kind of a snapshot only. So.
Okay, excellent. And yes, the slides will be made available afterwards. Just another quick question then. So for researchers who are actually wanting to use this data set, could you sort of describe what you think would be the most important factors to consider when planning on actually getting to grips with the data within the SRS?
Sorry, again, the question. So
Okay, so what do you think would be the most important factors for a researcher to think about when they're planning on actually using the data within the SRS?
yeah, so I'm thinking, so I think before you apply for it, you know what you're doing, but I suggest you look at the list of variable. So whether the variable there, it help you to answer your research question. So and then you read with the documentation that we provided, and then some previous research already done. So see what they're doing, whether it's feasible or not. And then if you still got some question you're not quite sure, or maybe when you do it, like I said, that people may come up with very specific sector or specific occupation or something, they want to check the observation whether it's feasible for them. So they can email us and we can maybe get a bit of more sense for to steering them. So
Okay, excellent. And another question here. So if you wanted to access even further back into secondary schools, what data like demographics are useful to link ASH Census 2021 and 22? That's probably slightly off topic, but you can have a go at it if you want, Van. So,
yeah, so yeah, I don't quite I think with education everything is asked for census. So no education information in ASH whatsoever since right beginning when we do the ASH already. So the education can be accessed from ONET, from census only, and the census, as I say, that is observed in 2011. So that's kind of a snapshot, and education can change. So that's why how you use it is depend on how you church it. So we can, that's why we can do the return of education, but it's correct for people who 1999 or 2018 would be slightly different, and then we can't really track the education of those people perfectly, and then that's why we can't link with any other data set. So if education is your main interest, I would say probably art and census is probably not fit for you.
okay, excellent. Thank you. So another question then, you mentioned that coverage is uneven for certain occupations stroke job roles. Are there any statistics available regarding coverage for broad six stroke SOC, for example?
Yeah, I think we haven't really got specific number observation for sick and soak because it's quite a lot of sick and soak code. And because ASH is famous for detailed sick and sock code, 4-digit sock code, so we can't really provide it. So we just put as a bigger level. So basically the first digit or the first 2 digit of the code only, and then it's in the enhanced ASH documentation.
Excellent. Okay. So another question actually has just come in regarding geographical location. So does the local authority level apply to the employee or also the employer, i.e. is there an address stroke postcode for the employer?
So I think apply for both. So basically no postcode whatsoever. So that the lowest level we can access is just local authority. So or maybe we can get the output census area, which is bigger than postcode, but not exactly postcode and address. So basically postcode and address would be the no in the data.
Okay, excellent. Okay, one other question then. What would you say is the biggest unexplored question or topic area that you think the data set could address when thinking about the government missions in particular?
So that's why I say that in government commissions, so low pay commissions still using ASH as the main kind of data set for analyze it and then adjust the minimum wage on top of it. So that's why you can use with the minimum wage and then you can interact with them and to got the specific one. So basically they're interesting, as they say right beginning, for the web project. So they're interesting to know how the minimum wage affects on different demographic characteristic of the employee, which they can't observe in ASH before.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And this is probably a bit of a technical question. What analytical software or program would be most appropriate to use when working with this flagship dataset?
So our code is run by Stata. So that is the standard. So when you convert it, so all the code currently at the Stata level, and then if you understand it and you can convert to R or whatever you want to use in the SRS. So, but it may take a time for you to convert it. So, but later on, when you got the final version of it, you can use Stata or R as your preferred language in the SRS. Is up to you. So, but currently our coding it at Stata.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, and I've got one other question, and this relates to the documentation, really. And how comprehensive is that? Is it regularly updated? And you know, is that really the first point of call that I should go to when thinking about using the data set?
So we got the documentation. So the last updated, I think probably last year, beginning of last year. So, and then nothing else. We haven't got anything else to update. So, but we tried. If we also, that's a lesson learned from us. So whether we incorporate to use with a fellowship like you in the call here. And then if we said, oh, we're missing here, missing there, so we collated all of this and then we make a revision of the documentations to make it clearer next time. So
Brilliant,
that older version of the documentations will be accessed from our website. You can see that drop one, we got one documentation, drop two, we got another documentation. So basically we go along with you as well. So.
Yeah, excellent. And that's a really important point to just emphasize that there is that feedback loop between the academic team in WED who steward the data and the researchers who are actually using the data. So I'm sure Van will agree that they're always open for feedback from researchers and happy to make improvements on that. So that's brilliant. Excellent. Okay, I think we're out of questions here at the moment. So I think perhaps if I can just pass back to Lola. And yeah, if you have any further questions going forward, there are contact details on the website, and the slides will be published on the flagship dataset page. So you're always free to drop us a line. And with that, I'll hand it back to Lola.
Thank you very much. I just want to say thank you again to Professor Van Van for coming along today and sharing all of the amazing insights, and not just her, but the entire WED team have developed over the last few years to enable the use of ASH Census 2011. It's a complicated infrastructure to work with admin data, and we appreciate everything. And one of the big benefits of working with the WED team, working with the data owners and having the fellowships is the feedback mechanism. And part of the fellowship's objections is kind of to be invested in this kind of community of growth around the flagship data. Steve, can we just have that last slide up again, please, of future dates? Because ASH is also linked in other data sets coming forward. So if you are interested in ASH in general, there are some other flagship data sets that are included in this funding opportunity that may be of interest. Or there are other data sets, for example, those that can focus on education and education and health and education and kind of performance or employability using forward across different data sets. So please do take a note of any dates and times you're interested in. There is a QR code there if you're watching, or a link if you get the slides, to take you through if you wanted to sign up to any additional data set webinars. But also I want to highlight, we've actually got the opportunity briefing on Thursday, the 23rd of October. And this is where we will break down what it is to be a fellow, what it is to apply for a fellowship, and what you need to consider and plan and write about in the application, highlighting some key points for anyone interested. And because of the uniqueness of admin data and our flagship data, we think it's important to help support applicants in writing a good funding application. So we're very fortunate to have members of our community catalyst come along and give a presentation identifying what it means to write a good funding application for admin data. And then further talk from our community catalysts on their research agendas. We've got 2 community catalysts that have come together to present some of their evidence gap mapping work that they've done to help inspire applicants think about what type of research questions are needed at this moment in time, which is a different approach to how we might think about it just around one flagship data. If anyone has any questions, please do get in contact with ourselves. The email address is there. Can all these data sets be linked? In an overarching statement, not all data sets can be linked with each other upon request. There are different legalities associated with each data set, and there are different data sharing conditions for each flagship data. If you did want to contact anyone based on each data set specifically, there is information on our flagship data pages to ask questions specifically to ONS for ADR England around any additional. Oh, sorry, you meant the one on this list for ASH Census. If you wanted to drop us an email, either myself or Fan, with regards to other linkages, please do get in contact. Anyway, I just want to wrap up this webinar for today. If any questions, please do get in contact. Otherwise, thank you for coming along.